over to Kaylee for introductions.
Thank you. Members present at this meeting are James McCarver, Richard Sprain, Michael Mirko, Mike King, Rob Johnson, and Robert Burford, Chair. Staff members present are Kat Moody, Historic Preservation Specialist, Bryn Stotler, Community Development Director, George Worley, Planning Manager, Tammy DeWitt, Community Planner, Kaylee Nunez, Recording Secretary, and Councilman Bill Good. This is an open public hearing and is being tape recorded and videotaped by the city. The proceedings are being televised by representatives of the public media, the public, local cable, and/or radio stations, and may also be rebroadcast. The number of commissioners present is 6. It will require 4 votes for a motion to succeed. As this is a virtual meeting, all parties wishing to be heard, including commission members, are required to state their name prior to speaking in order to ensure accurate minutes. Members of the public, when called upon, are required to state their name and address for the record so that we may know who is speaking and be able to contact them at a later date if necessary. Please keep your phone or PC microphone on mute unless you are speaking to minimize background noise. Thank you. We can move to the regular agenda now.
This is Robert Burford, Chair. The first item on the agenda is, and I apologize, I don't have the agenda in front of me, but it will be the consideration of the minutes of our March meeting, I believe was the last set of minutes. Does anyone have?
March 13th.
I'll go ahead and share my screen so you have the agenda.
Thank you.
In front of you.
So, yes, the next.
It's split here, unfortunately. Sorry. There you go.
That's okay. The approval of minutes from the March 13th, 2020 meeting. Consideration of those minutes. I would ask if anyone has comments, corrections, or additions to those minutes. Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, this is Michael King. I recommend that we approve the minutes of the March 13th meeting as presented.
Thank you. A second?
Mr. Chairman, this is Rick Sprain. I will second the motion.
This is Robert Burford. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2020 meeting. Those in, let's see, how will we do this with no mutes? If there are any, yeah.
I will take a vote on them.
Okay, Kaylee will take a vote.
Okay. Just say yes or no. James McCarver.
Yes.
Richard Sprain.
Yes.
Michael Mirko.
Yes.
Mike King.
Yes.
Rob Johnson.
Yes.
Robert Burford.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you all. The next order of business is HP 20-005, 351 South Mount Vernon Avenue. This is in the Historic Preservation number 13, Southeast Prescott. It is a request for modifications to an existing house, mainly windows, adding a garage at the rear, etc. I will pass this off to Ms. Moody for her comments.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to scroll here. Just one moment while I get set up. I have a slight delay there. Okay. So is everybody seeing the plan on the left and a picture on the right of their screen?
Yes.
Robert Burford, yes.
Mike Mirko,
Okay.
yes.
All right. I think that's good. So I just wanted to make sure you were seeing what I'm seeing here. As stated, this is a request for several different types of modifications. This property is in the Joslyn Whipple National Register Historic District, and it's part of the Southeast Prescott Historic Overlay District. It was constructed about 1914, but there's been alterations to the house through the years, particularly the windows that prevented it from being listed in the National Register, so it's not currently listed. The applicant, Brett Crary, is interested in doing window and trim improvements to take it back to something that has a little more historical accuracy for the period in which it was developed. So we're going to start with the window changes, and we'll run through these. In your packet, you have the plan view here with each of the windows lettered, and then behind that, you'll see where he's provided images to depict exactly what would happen with these windows. So in the front portion of the house, the proposed changes are to replace these aluminum horizontal sliding windows, which are certainly not original to the period of construction, with wood constructed windows. The windows would be single hung or awning, depending on which style, so or which size. The A window would be replaced with an awning window. The B window, central in the front, would be replaced with single hung windows, a pair of single hung windows. And C would be replaced with a larger window than is in here. The reasoning for that is this is a bedroom and it needs to be able to meet egress requirements. And so this window would have a height that would match the height of the window B centered in the front. And it would be a casement style window, and that would allow the minimum egress dimensions for that bedroom. So window C is changing in size. And then moving around to the side, window D, which is here on the other side of, in that bedroom, would also be potentially replaced with a larger window to match this window C. So these would be paired and the same type of window. In the rear portion of the home, we're going to look at E, F, G, and H, and then these along this I, J, K, L, and M. So these windows, they would replace the aluminum windows with a vinyl frame window. They would also be keeping in the same style, so they'll either be casement, awning, or single hung. So I'm going to scroll down here to the pictures of these windows. Window E would be replaced with a awning or a casement, so a crank out window. Window F here would be replaced with 3 casement style windows. It's a triple bank of windows. Window G would be replaced with a casement window here. And then window K would be replaced with a casement or a single hung window. And so K is here. And then on windows,
Hey, Kat, I'm sorry, this is Brett Curry. That was window H, not K, just a.
oh, sorry, window H, okay, thank you. So window H, and then windows J, K, L, and M would be replaced with, J, K, L, and M. Each of those windows would be replaced with single hung windows. And then windows M and L would be side-by-side single hung. Those are here. So here and here. And if the owners are approved to raise the height of the roof, which we're about to discuss, that's this roof plane here in the rear, then the window here, I'm sorry, let me move my, the window L would be enlarged to match the size of window M. And if the proposed rear roof changes were approved, then window J would be changed to match window K. So M and L would match and K and J would match in size. You can see they're different sizes here. And this window would be enlarged to match window M. So there's a fair amount of window size changes proposed on this side of the house. And some of those relate to the change in the roof, which we will get to in a moment. I'm going to take you back to the front of the home to follow along in the staff report. The next group of changes, we're at the top of page 2 on the staff report, is a siding and front porch trim changes. The vertical siding found on the front here would be replaced with horizontal siding that matches the rest of the home. The front porch roof would be reframed in wood. It's now a kind of a metal type of awning. It would have a low angle pitch. It would tie into the main roof, and it would be shingled to match the main roof on the home. And then the porch would have wood turn posts and railings in a period appropriate style instead of the metal spindly supports that are found on this porch roof right now. And then, so those are porch roof changes in trim, siding, and roof, the roof itself here on the front. And then the other proposed changes are in the rear. So I'm going to take you back to this view. So we're looking at this back corner of the home. And the request here is to raise this portion, which is lower than the other shed roof addition. These were most certainly additions to the original home and probably took place one by one, which is why the different elevations here. So they're requesting to raise the height of the lowest shed roof addition to match the one that sits to the north of there, so that it would be one continuous plane for this shed roof in the rear of the house. And that relates, at the same time that was done, they are requesting to expand the footprint of the home here so that the rooms are in an even wall plane, and that is visible here, where there are portions of the rear wall of the house are inset here. So the request is to do a small addition and then match that shed roof plane across that entire portion of the rear of the home. And then the final request out of this is a garage addition in the rear, similar to what can be found. This is the rear of the home. And what I'm going to do is see if I can move this a little bit so that you're seeing a bigger view. I'm going to have to leave it where it's at. The rear of the home does not currently have a garage. There is an alley that serves the rear of this entire block of Mount Vernon. And the request is to put a gable roof garage, which is similar to what you can see here, 2 houses to the north. And the idea would be to finish this with siding, trim, and shingles to match the main house, and it would look fairly similar to what their neighbor 2 doors down has in the rear of the house. This is probably particularly important. This location is right where Senator Highway turns into Mount Vernon, and traffic on this road is still moving fairly quickly as it's coming down into town here, and having a garage in the rear would prevent having to pull out onto the street in order to access Mount Vernon. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you all for questions, and let me get back to the plan view here. And I will leave my, I'll leave my screen share up so that if we have questions that address particular items, I will scroll the view to be able to put those on screen. So with that, I'll turn it over for discussion. And let me actually, before I turn over to discussion, let me give the applicant a chance to speak, because I may have missed something. I would like the applicant to go ahead and give us his thoughts on this so that you have that as a perspective. So Brett?
Okay, can you all hear me okay? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for taking the time to put this on the agenda. Thank you, Kat, for working with me on preparing this application. My wife and I have owned this house for about 5 years, and our hope is to restore some of the historic integrity of the home. We acknowledge that there have been changes over the years that have kind of departed from some of the era, and our hope is to do restoration work in keeping with the historical character of Mount Vernon Avenue. And the only thing that I felt like was missed as far as the overview that Kat gave was wanting to add casement to the windows as well. Currently, they're vinyl, aluminum windows. They don't have any kind of casement on them. So we would like to add casement as well as some trim along the house's edge. Other than that, I felt like Kat did a really good job going through everything. I'll just kind of wait back, and I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have about any of these specific changes.
Thank you.
Robert Burford here. And I'll try and group all my questions together at once, and someone can answer them, either of you two. Stop right there, Kat, please. Go back to the rear on that photo. I'm at a bit of a loss. I apologize. Where the 2 stars are, on the building and there's a porch. Can you show on the floor plan, site plan, where that photo is taken and what the large building on the right in that photo is with the shallow, where is that window and where is that photo taken?
So I think I can clarify that and Brett can confirm, but this building with the stars is this carport, I believe.
Yes.
It's a covered patio.
Oh, okay, covered patio.
Essentially, what your cursor is on right now is looking down at the house from Acker Park. So if you're on the city's open space,
Right.
or coming down
From this view.
Senator Highway looking at our house is the first house on Mount Vernon coming down Senator Highway into town. And so that would be the view of the house from coming down Senator Highway. The building on the right is that covered patio that you see on the left in the photograph on the bottom. That clarifies.
So the picture on the left is taken from here, correct? Where my cursor is?
Correct. The lower photograph is taken from inside the yard, our backyard where your cursor is. The photo on the top is taken from the view looking down Senator Highway.
Right. So this
Okay.
is from the south side looking across. This photo is taken from the north looking south here.
So that is, it appears to be a separate building. It is parcel of the one, there's one building on the site.
So the plan view with the window location does
Yes.
not show the covered patio that you see in the pictures. It would be just
Right here.
correct. Yep.
Okay, well, that, I was up there and went down the alley and looked at the rear and I was I couldn't seem to get all the way to your site, but, so the garage is gonna be on, I guess that would be downhill. There seemed to be a big hill right there.
Yes.
The garage would be right there. Where
It would be downhill. There may require some earth, some dirt work, and I'm not sure if we would need a retaining wall or not. And then we would need to have some kind of a walkway with stairs that lead back up and would most likely tie in with the covered patio or next to the covered patio, the walkway would come up right where Kat's cursor is located right now.
Thank you. And my other question is, what is the siding on the building? It appears to be pretty wide and maybe a composite material, or do you know what the siding is that you're going to be matching?
I think that the material is made out of masonite or something similar. If we're able to match it, then we would. If we're not able to find a match on the vertical, then we would most likely need to replace so that
Okay.
it's matched.
Thank you. That's my question. I'll turn this over to other council members.
Mr. Chairman, this is Michael King. And I visited the site as well yesterday. I got to all three sides that I could have access to. And I have no questions relative to the front or the view next to the Acker Park. That's fine. The only question I have is not really about historical. It's more about the garage. There's that, which is right down there. Yeah, that is a wide alley. It is a very steep hill. And secondly, there's a home right at the base of that. And this is not about history. It's more about setbacks and distances between your neighbor and the garage, and then your ability to build the garage in that spot, and then you're gonna have a lot of steep steps to get you to the top. Is it possible? Are we okay with the setbacks, and does your neighbors know about this? Hello?
I mean, when it came time to actually build the garage, you know, we would need to follow whatever setbacks are required by the city, Prescott, in order to put it in. If it's not feasible because the hillside is too steep, then we wouldn't be able to put the garage in, and we would abandon that part of this proposal.
Okay, well,
So
again, go ahead.
this is Kat. So as far as the setbacks are concerned, that would be addressed at review of any plans by the planning department. They are able to, on an alley, I believe, for alley access, a garage can be as close as 6 feet to the rear property line. So it's not like they have to adhere to the 25-foot setback if it's an alley access garage. So he would be required to meet all setbacks at the time of building plan submission, and that would be addressed through the building permitting process.
Okay, well, that's all. Like I say, it's not about the historical work you're trying to do. By the way, I applaud your effort to bring the architectural integrity to that cute little house there at the end of the street. I hope it works out well for you. I have no other questions.
Well, thank you.
Chairman, this is Rick Sprain. This is probably for Kat. Currently, this is not qualified to go on the National Registry.
Yes, that's correct.
When Brett is done with the house and the windows, will it then be qualified? And Brett, do you anticipate applying for qualification into it?
So let me answer the first part. It would be more likely that it could be listed in the register after the window improvements, the trim, the conversion of the front metal porch awning to be an actual wood frame porch. There's a chance that it could be listed, but I can't. It's a little bit of a borderline situation, and in a case like something like this, it would probably have to go back before Historic Sites Review Committee down at the state, and they would make that ultimate determination. We would make a recommendation as the local contact, but whether it gets relisted or not actually gets decided by Historic Sites Review Committee.
Do we know what else is holding it back other than, like, it sounds like the windows and the awning?
Windows and the awning are probably the main components, and the vertical siding is probably not. I think the windows with actual trim and the awning are the primary things that would potentially make it eligible.
Okay.
This is Jim McCarver. I just have a quick question for Kat. Do we have any pictures of this house from times past to compare?
I don't know. And this was not part of the district that got inventoried twice. So we just have the photo from the one inventory of this district. And so I don't know if the homeowner has gone to try to find images at Charlotte Hall Museum and Archives. So Brett, if you can address that.
I have not found any other photographs from the historic time. I'd be interested to, though, so maybe I'll follow up with you on that following this meeting.
Okay.
This is Robert Burford. Any other comments? I'll turn it over. Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Rob Johnson, Kat. Are there any conceptual drawings or like a plot plan overhead that would show the garage in relation to the rest of the house?
No. I mean, he hasn't developed a plan specifically on the siding beyond just the placement here, you know, where it would relate approximately like this one does to that house there. That's, yeah, the hill really slopes away here. So that garage would definitely not be visible from the street.
Okay. Thank you.
And the applicants, I encouraged him, he approached me regarding the windows initially, and then he said, well, we were thinking we'd do this and that. And I said, you know, you should probably, if you know you want to do all these things eventually, you should go ahead and bring it to Preservation Commission now so you get approval of those things. That doesn't mean he's going to apply for one building permit and do all of that. He may just do the windows and trim, or just do the rear, you know, the changes to the rear roof and back wall configuration, and not bring a permit for the garage initially. But at some point in the future, if they do want to do that, at least they would have the okay from Preservation Commission to do that without having to come back before the board.
Yeah, that's smart. I'm going to be coming back to my own commission here for another deal on my property down the street, so I can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
This is Robert Burford. Any other comments from council members or from the public or from other representatives of the city? If not, then I will assume that we're ready to move with a motion. If someone would like to do that.
Mr. Chairman, this is Michael King. I move that we approve HP 20-005, which is a request for window replacement, siding and trim changes, rear roof remodel, and the detached garage in the rear of the property, as presented.
We have a motion, Robert Burford. We have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Rick Sprain. I'll second the motion.
The motion
Okay.
has been made and seconded. Kaylee will take over. Thank you, Kaylee.
All right, thank you. James McCarver,
Yes.
Richard Sprain,
Yes.
Michael Mirko. Michael Mirko.
Just to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
okay. Mike King,
Yes, of course.
Rob Johnson,
Yes.
Robert Burford.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all. Congratulations and get to work.
All right, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Moving with our agenda, I think there's only another item, which again, I'm not in front of me, but is any comments or news of interest for this meeting? I would like to turn that over to Kat.
Update of current events or other items
Thank
of
you.
note is where we are on the agenda. So the only thing I have is that, as you're well aware, because of current conditions, the Historic Preservation Conference in June that was supposed to be held in Tempe has been canceled. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And that probably will come as no surprise, but that is the case. And that's all I have.
Well, this is Michael King. I was just going to ask, are you getting other requests that you have to defer, Kat?
I have one other homeowner on Mount Vernon who I thought might have had a plan together to come for this meeting. And I had requested, if Brett wasn't in a hurry, that he wait a couple of months, and he was very patient because he was ready a couple of months ago, and I thought we could group him with the other homeowner's request, but she has not submitted a plan as of yet, but I expect she'll be coming at some point soon. So right now I have nothing pending other than I know that she is working on developing a plan.
Well, Mr. Chairman and Kat, this is Michael King. If we do have requests in a customer service and a responsive kind of a way, I make myself fully available for these kinds of meetings so as not to impede the progress of people wanting to do some of the modifications under our jurisdiction.
Thank you. We appreciate that. I think at this point, now that we're set up with this Zoom meeting platform, we would, if there were any requests, we would hold a regular meeting schedule, just virtually.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert Burford again. I believe that takes care of our agenda, unless someone has any other issue or item to update. With that, hearing none, I will adjourn this June 12th meeting of the Prescott Preservation Commission. Thank you, one and all. Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.